right, guys. So I've got a very interesting interview that was in the pipeline. You know, we spoke a few weeks back with Dennis, and Dennis said he'll get back in touch with me and obviously see what EUCX is doing in the cryptocurrency sphere. And one of the great things I like to do, you all know, I like to share educating interviews that have got clarity and serious people that are taking this industry seriously. Now, as you know, we went through a massive bear market in 2018. The market did decline, but I'm optimistic that that sudden phase has launched new projects like EUCX to come on board, to be serious. And, you know, the game changers are starting to come into play. Which projects are going to now really shine in this market? So it's a bit like the 1994, you know, dot-com era when, you know, a lot of projects fell and then there was new ones that were born from it. And these new ones are the ones that we need to look out for. So EUCX is a great cryptocurrency exchange. We're going to learn more about what these guys are doing with Eric, which I'm privileged to have on this interview, and share this out to my 28,000 followers and growing. Just a bit of a disclaimer. This is not like investment advice. This is not sort of financial advice. This is just purely an educating video interview to tell people what EUCX is doing, how serious they are in this area. So, you know, take this as a grain of salt where, you know, most of my interviews are just for educating purposes. I'm not your financial advisor. So do your due diligence when it comes to researching projects. All right, guys, so let's get this underway. Eric, welcome to the interview. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Naz. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
I guess an introduction of myself. Well, my name is H.den.Boer. I've started the EUCX exchange together with, at first with a business partner of mine called Erwin Kuipers. And we had Dennis Oosting join in a little later. And that's, I really don't know what else to say about that. You know, that's how we started. My professional experience is I've been in the software industry for about 15 years now. Right. And so that's I guess that's also where I would say the itch came from to start an exchange or to develop something in the cryptocurrency space. I really like the paradigm shifting technologies. Right. And I think that blockchain is one of the paradigm shifting technologies that we you know, it's one of a once in a lifetime opportunity that we're experiencing right now.
I would say it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I totally agree. I don't think another opportunity is going to come by like this again, the way technology is moving forward. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your story, and, you know, what made you kickstart this project, EUCX? And
all right. Yeah, it's a tough question. Actually, it really does sound so simple. I suppose I can primarily talk. I suppose I can primarily chalk it up to the need to challenge both myself and the status quo of the cryptocurrency industry right now. A few months ago, me and Erwin, we were talking about starting an exchange and how there was no exchange here in Europe. You know, there's a lot of exchanges.
There's a lot of exchanges, yeah.
Well, yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of exchanges. When you look at the global field, there's a lot of exchanges, but how many do you really know? And how many are from Europe?
That's a very good point. I was just about to, I don't want to interrupt you, but you carry on. Sure. There's not that many exchanges in Europe, and a lot of it worldwide. It's in Asia Pacific, it's in the US, but in Europe, we're still trying to work out, you know, what exchanges are going to lead. Do you think EUCX is there?
I think we do have the capacity to lead, not just because we have the technological knowledge on how to build one. But we also have the professional network to work with regulators, to work with government.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later about the interview, about those guys.
Yeah. And so I think that really does tie into the reason why there are hardly any cryptocurrency exchanges to speak of within Europe. European people, generally speaking, they're not that. I would say brave when it comes to it. Really does sound nasty when I say it like that. They're really not that brave when it comes to investing in new technologies,
True.
whether that's their time or their energy.
Skeptical, aren't they?
And we're always looking for for that safety net. What if something goes wrong? Who can we go to get our justice? Who can we go to get our money back? That's something that we saw during the 2007-2008 crash really badly. Is at least from the Dutch perspective, a lot of the Dutch people had their money in a bank called iSafe in Iceland, and they went down. So everybody here, that was a very big news story back then. So everybody here started going up to the government and go, hey, they're regulated, they messed up. So please save our bank money, save my money now. And that's something that we don't have in crypto yet. But I do feel that we need to move towards that.
So let's go into your exchange. This interview is all about EUCX. It's all about what you guys are doing as a crypto exchange. Like you say, there are other exchanges, but in Europe, we still don't have a foothold which ones are leading. So tell us a little bit about your exchange and what you guys are doing there.
The reason we started building this is because we saw a few major issues with the current state of cryptocurrency.
Right.
At least it's the state of the cryptocurrency sector, and that is a lack of transparency. I would say professionalism as well. The picture that is being painted by a lot of exchanges is one of crudeness, and in my opinion, one of amateurism. And there's also a lot of issues with a clear legal basis and security. Not to mention the terrible customer support. You only have to open up a Twitter feed of any exchange and look at the pure poison that is being spewed out there. And that is where we do have a lot of experience in. Erwin has a lot of experience with customer servicing and infrastructure. And that is where our professional experience in the IT comes in, as well as entrepreneurship. And we have worked on enterprise and government-sized projects for all our professional lives, from both the development perspective and as well as the operational and servicing perspective. So it's known territory for us.
So my next question is like, what problems is EUCX trying to solve? You touched upon a few issues. Customer service is being really an important factor. I would tend to agree. A lot of exchanges, especially in the US, are failing probably in that aspect when it comes to customer service, and and clients want a more professional service. What problems are you guys trying to solve in this cryptocurrency market?
When it comes to service, what we're trying to do is, of course, having a more professional attitude towards service. What a lot of people, I would say a lot of exchanges, I suppose, are forgetting, as it seems, is that you have to work in a very clear process, procedure. You have to work with very clear processes or very clear procedures. There's a lot of well-functioning, proven frameworks for that. It's really a matter of knowing what to expect, and on the other hand, if you have to spend a lot of time on customer servicing or customer support, you're doing something wrong. Either something is not working, or you're not communicating properly towards your customer on how to, or for example, on how to use something, how to use your platform. If a lot of customers start asking, how to do this and how to do that, you're either not conveying what you're trying, what your service platform is. I would say from a user interaction design point of view, or something is simply not working. What if your website goes down? It simply doesn't work. You're basically creating your own problems the moment your product doesn't work or doesn't communicate well with the customer.
Let's talk about now, the exchange. So, EUCX, give us an overview what EUCX is, So the guys that are watching my video, you know, there's a lot of people that still try and understand what cryptocurrency is. I know less than say 10% or 5% of the world, you know, still trying to grasp what this means. But what are you guys doing as an exchange? I want to understand fundamentally, you know, what EUCX is bringing to the table in terms of the people who are going to put their hard-earned money and obviously trade crypto with you guys.
All right. I suppose the biggest thing that we're bringing to the table is a focus. What we do see is that a lot of our, let's call them colleagues, a lot of our colleagues are focusing on everything and everyone.
Right.
And especially the everyone part, that's the issue. When you look at the more demanding trader, like the sophisticated trader or the boutique firms, usually, generally speaking, I'm generalizing here, usually they do not want to be associated with what we would refer to as the Moon Boys or the Lambo Boys, you know. It's like they want to keep a certain, they want to keep a certain professional air about their whole presentation, as well as towards their customer, because they're sometimes handling billions and billions of dollars in or euros or dollars, it doesn't matter, in third-party assets. And you know, say you're a billionaire. I don't know if you're a billionaire, but maybe you're a billionaire. You know, if you're a billionaire and you go up to a boutique shop or any other hedge fund or any form of money manager, would you really want them to be associated with those moon boys and the retail traders? You know, I personally really don't have a big opinion on retail traders. I mean, I am one myself, right? And most of us are. But there, you know, when you're at that level, you really don't want to be associated with you know, the general with the big mass. So we decided not to focus all that much on retail, in the sense that we decided to focus on boutique firms and the more sophisticated and demanding traders, with the notion that if we serve them, if we serve that upper section of the trader, not counting institutionals, by the way, I'll get to that later. We figured that if we do that, we would serve the retail traders as well.
Right.
So they're not our primary focus. However, we do see that we can serve them by simply serving and focusing on the upper section of the market. Now, the reason that we're not focusing on the institutional traders is very simple. I personally feel that there's no way for us to get into that section of the market. And it's a very closed off, very elitist section of the market. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that per se, I don't think, but it's not something that we're going to focus on. I guess we still have a reputation to build, a reputation to set up, and the only way to at least show the big boys that we're taking it seriously is, you know, to serve as the upper section of the retail market, or what is generally referred to as a professional trader, or the more sophisticated trader.
So let's talk about, you know, fundamentals of your cryptocurrency exchange.
Yes.
What are the fundamentals? What are the pairings now? And what are the buy orders? So how much liquidity is this exchange making? Do you have liquidity? And are you getting more people over time on board?
Well, we're still developing the exchange right now. So it's, I would have to say the liquidity is zero.
That could be for the next interview, maybe.
But, you know, when it comes to the fundamentals, one of the things that we really do separate ourselves is we offer 0% trading fees for people who wish to pay a monthly fee, a monthly subscription fee. Individual people can pay €49.95 in euros to have their trading fees waived, as well as get in. Yeah. That's, you know, we looked at the competition. I think there's fees that are like 100,000 a month or something. I'm like, okay.
And trying to reduce fees, which is really important.
You know, the thing, one of the primary functions of an exchange is to make their customers money. and we'll make money along the way. I'm sure, but we don't need to do that over the back of our customers.
Right.
So another thing is that we're going to or we're offering business accounts, and business accounts cost $149.95 a month, and that allows them to create team accounts, which are sub accounts, which allows managers to manage their team, their employees, which we hope will better suit the boutique firms or otherwise professional traders that work in teams.
I like the professionalism. So the professionalism is like, one thing, guys, when I'm doing these interviews is telling people like Eric's story, what EUCX does. And, he's highlighted a couple of important fields that I think should resonate with my audience, which is customer service. He's obviously bringing his customers first. And one of the things I find in society is those are one of the issues, which is customer service. The second is reduced fees. These are such important factors when it comes to exchanges surviving this market. And it seems to me EUCX is trying to actually repair and put first the customers rather than just put anyone first and use it as an exchange. They are quite serious when it comes to customer retention and so forth. So, Eric, would you agree to that?
Absolutely. I really like how you're saying that we're not putting anyone else first. We're really do trying to put our customers first, whether that's the people that are trading with $50 or the people that are trading with 50 million. It really doesn't matter. That's something that we're seeing with our colleague exchanges right now, is that there's a lot of events going on that are focusing on the wealthy. The rich getting richer and all that, and there's nothing wrong with making a lot of money.
No.
If you have a lot of money, you'll eventually make a lot of money, but a whole section of the market is being skipped. A whole section of the market is being ignored. Trading fees are relatively high. There's no real features for anybody but people who are participating in, trading competitions or whatever. And there's no real customer service. There's no one to go to when things go wrong. And that's something else that we are focusing heavily on. We're clamping ourselves down to the letter of the law, and we're holding ourselves responsible should something go wrong. And the method that we're trying to communicate that with right now is by openly publishing all our registration numbers, like our Chamber of Commerce, our VAT number. We've registered with the US SEC, which automatically...
Yeah, we'll get into that in a moment. Yeah, but...
So the thing about registering with the SEC is that if we mess up, if we don't do what we promise that we'll do,
very true.
You can say whatever you want about, but we're not in the US and the US has nothing to say about us. But you as well as I do that the extradition process between European countries and the US, and if they call right now, I'll be on a plane tomorrow.
That's true.
So that's simply the way the world works, and whatever your opinion on that is doesn't matter. It's the way the world works.
It's the way the world works.
What we're trying to communicate to the world is that we're legit, we're open, we're transparent, and we're holding ourselves accountable for something that, should something go wrong. Hence the contingency fund that we've built into the ICO.
So I will get into the SEC and regulation in a bit in my next question, which is quite important. But how easy are you making this now for customers to use your exchange? What is the user experience like?
Well, we intend to make the regulation disappear into the background as much as possible. From a customer's perspective, the biggest and the only impact will be that they are required to go through a KYC procedure. They have to cough up their identity data, which will be processed and which will be checked. That's the biggest impact that the upcoming regulations will have. for our customers. So, anonymous trading is simply going out the window in 2020, at least here in the EU, and we're preparing the platform for that. And apart from that, we're trying to make sure that the customer feels as little as possible from that. Most of the regulatory requirements are that we're going to have to abide to are our own responsibility and not even the customers.
So I like the way that, you're following these procedures, regulatory practices with the SEC. So let's talk about regulation and so forth. And like you just mentioned 2 minutes ago, 5 minutes, which is very important factor. And it's something I really stand for as an interviewer as well, which is when I share these interviews just for educational purpose. I'm glad you mentioned it, that regulation seems a very important factor. Tell us a little bit about your regulatory practices, and I'm glad you're taking this route to work with the SEC.
Yeah, we're taking regulations very seriously. From the start of the project, we've set out to make sure that we're either first in line with the upcoming regulations, with the upcoming implemented regulations, or at least have an impact on them. And we're succeeding in both, albeit slowly. My personal stance on regulation is that it's a necessary evil. There's a lot of problems with trust and kindness in the world. There have been too many scams and too many heists, and in almost all the cases, the ones that are either responsible for the heist or they got away with a crime, or simply with negligence. People are getting away with way too much in the cryptocurrency industry, and I don't think that we should operate much longer without fair regulation, fair being a key point here. I also believe it's keeping crypto from being taken seriously by institutional money, governments, and the general populace itself, who, as I mentioned before, I would say generally speaking, they're scared to invest their hard-earned money, fiat money, into this new technology. And because when something goes wrong, there's simply no justice. There's no safety net. There's nothing. There's nothing for them to. There's no one for them to go to should something go wrong. So this is why we're actively working together to get fair regulation implemented and register ourselves with the proper authorities, both in the EU and in the US.
That's really good to hear that, EUCX are taking this quite seriously in terms of being fully compliant. And like I say, there are a lot of scams, and in 2018, it just goes to show how many scams there were and how a lot of them, were either taken down or, left the market. They ran out of money, and, some of these guys, shouldn't be in the space because it doesn't help the technology grow. And it's good that, EUCX as an exchange is following those procedures. And as an interviewer like myself, doing these interviews, this is something that I also take quite seriously when it comes to telling people about the projects and the ones that I'm educating. So well done for actually following those procedures and actually showing customer compliance to people and so forth. My final question is about, what does your roadmap look like, say, in the next 6 months? I know you're working with the regulatory practices, building your platform, helping in liquidity. What is going on there?
Yeah, we're working together with partners right now. We're developing the exchange. We're developing it in-house, actually, and I'm very proud to say that, as far as we can tell, we've got the fastest matching engine in the industry right now,
good.
Which is running around 4 million orders per second. So that's really something that we can be proud of. The basis is there, the technological basis is there, and we hope to launch within 6 months' time. We've planned for some internal alpha testing to happen within a few weeks, and we're also working on strengthening our relationships with several governmental bodies. We're meeting with them in February, and other market parties to make our platform to make sure that our platform is going to be the success that we know it can be and will be.
Guys, it's a privilege to interview Eric and tell us about EUCX and their exchange platform. He's come across very honest, and this is what we need in this space, is to tell people that, this great projects will survive on the basis of, you know, compliance, regulatory practices, honesty, and so forth. So it's good to learn about them. Now, my final question is, you know, what makes you different? What sets you apart from Binance and the Q coins and the Coinbases? All right, I know you're not trying to be as big as them, and it seems to me you're trying to target a niche market. And to my audience, what I want to tell my audience is that, you know, EUCX is trying to really make a change here, you know, and he's trying to basically, as he says, put customer service first and so forth, which I think is important. But guys, you know, what is it that, you know, your project is doing that's going to be a little bit different to others, and what how are you going to you know, stand out with these guys?
I suppose that it really does come down to you know, the four pillars of success. Let's put it that way. It really sounds really corny. Like the you know, transparency, security, a great legal basis, or at least a solid legal basis, and great customer support. Those are the four aspects that I personally think that there's a lot of issues with in the industry right now, especially transparency and security. And you know, when it comes to the legal basis, you know, the only thing I can say with that is, you know, it's very simple. We're either going to follow the letter of the law, you know, we as an exchange,
True.
or we're going to jail.
Yes.
And it's that responsibility that we're owning up to, that I think will make people realize that, oh, hey, these guys, they're legit. You know, and if something goes wrong, we actually have somebody or something to go to. And you know, it really does help to be transparent. You know, we're not the type of exchange that runs and hides the moment a regulator comes along and asks us a question. We're not going to pack our bags and move halfway around the world to an island. It's that simple. We're actually helping create the regulations that are going to be in effect as of 2020.
And basically give a gateway for everyone to use the exchange as well, right?
Yes, yes, and you know, in that sense, we're trying to be a pioneer. We hope to be the exchange that either the professional trader or the more demanding retail trader will go to. Professional traders will actually have a backup. You know, they'll have a safety net if
Right.
they start trading on our platform. Retail traders will also have the same safety net. Everybody will have a safety net, and yeah, that's really, I would say that's the biggest unique selling point. Of course, we have other factors. You know, our matching engine is fast and everything is secure. But what it really comes down to at the end of the day is trust. And we're trying to make sure that we can do everything in our power to make sure that you as a trader can trust us, that you know, we'll hold ourselves responsible and not run and hide and go, oh yeah, sure, but it's not regulated, so goodbye now.
And there you go, guys. You know, trust is an important factor, which Eric mentioned about EUCX. Where can we find your website? You know, tell us your website details. Tell us where people can find more information. You mentioned trust as a big thing. You know, let's find out where your website is. Tell us a little bit about, you know, other details that you can share with us, and so forth.
Sure, yeah, the website is very simple. It's EUCX.io, and you'll find our white paper. You'll find more details on what we're trying to do. You'll also find our Telegram channel, our Twitter, and we do hope, you know, come by. We're on there very often, almost every day. And if you have a question, come ask us. We're very open. We're trying to communicate and keep in touch with our you know, our fans and our customers. So yeah.
There you go, guys. What a privilege to hear Eric's story about EUCX. You know, there was a couple of fundamental points he mentioned, and, you know, they are trying to be fully compliant, and I appreciate projects that are really showing that matter, and also telling us that, you know, they're there for their customers. Come and reach out to them. You know, we're all in it together, sort of thing. And those are some of the fundamental factors I stand for in doing these video interviews is education and sharing knowledge. This is not financial advice. This is just purely an educational interview to tell people about what EUCX is doing and how trustworthy this platform is. So Eric, it's a privilege to have you on board.
Thank you.
It's been a great interview. I'm sure a lot of people are going to learn about what you guys are doing in this area and how serious you are. And hopefully we can do another one of these in a few months' time to follow up and see where you guys are leading. So it's a privilege to have you on board.
Thank you. It's been a privilege to be on your show, and good luck with your channel as well. And I hope to talk to you soon. Let's reminisce.
There you go, guys. Do follow EUCX. All right. Thanks, Eric. Privilege. Bye-bye.
All right. No problem.